Councilman Chris Burnett from the 8th District in Baltimore, which represents West Baltimore around Lincoln Park. And from the 9th District, John Bullock, which represents the West Baltimore area around Edmondson Village, that kind of part of well, I guess no.
I have Edmondson.
Yeah, you have Edmondson Village. But anyways, you're both on the west side of Baltimore. And so I'm going to start with West Baltimore was thrust into the spotlight in a major way in April of 2015 with the unrest. And exposing the, just the severe challenges of that particular urban community. So here we are, this much 18 months later or whatever, and not a whole lot has changed. What holds up any kind of progress with housing, opportunity, lower crime? What's the big stumbling block?
One of the things you mentioned, think about the 9th District covers West and Southwest Baltimore. So we actually have the lower part of Sandtown, Harlem Park, and some other neighborhoods that have seen decades of disinvestment. And so some people looked at the conditions post unrest and said, wow, that was terrible. But some of these things were longstanding conditions way in advance. So we know people who've been next door to vacant houses for 10 and 20 years. I think some of the obstacles have been a council that has not been as active on some of those issues. I think it's also important to create those partnerships. So, I think some of us having backgrounds in housing and organizing and policy and trying to use those as tools to push the city forward. And we have to work with our local and our state agencies as well. We're
going to get to the Hogan question in a second, but Chris, what's your perspective on that?
So I'd have to agree. I started getting calls during the unrest from friends in New York who, would see, a block of vacant houses and they if you sent me a picture and I said, well, that's North Avenue, and it's kind of looked like part of that block has looked that way since I was a kid. And so I think that's the challenge is, as a city, we want to see change immediately and things move quickly. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's going to take some time to rebuild Baltimore. But I'm encouraged. And you said something that, I'd say the biggest change is the council. We have 8 new council people coming in, which represents the majority of the council. And having gotten to know several of these folks since April, I think we have a very talented group. I come from a background in community organizing, and I've already hit the ground working with my neighborhoods and developing a workshop series to train our association leaders and community members in how to deal with vacant properties and how to really navigate the labyrinth that it can be when trying to figure out who owns a vacant that's been there for 10 years. I live next to a vacant house, and there's several on my block, so I certainly understand the frustration, but it's also something that's a priority for me personally, is to try and figure out ways that we can not only work on the ground, so literally walking block to block to address these issues, but also from policy changes to strengthening code enforcement, creating new incentives for home ownership and financial education so we can put people on the pathway to get in these homes and rehab them. I mean, I think it's a big deal, and just working with the mayor's office as well to try and get more funding. The governor also, that's a question later, but the Project Core, and making sure that not only the money is there, but the implementation as well. It's important, and I think that's where we're going to have to work, hand in hand, is to really make sure that these dollars are spent in the way that really makes the maximum impact for our communities.
Governor Hogan spoke at Catherine Pugh's inaugural on Tuesday, and both Pugh and Hogan spoke of what I call a thawing in that relationship, because that has not been a good relationship between City Hall and Annapolis, at least the governor. What do you think? Do you think there's a partnership there, and is it, and what do you think of it?
So I think it's important to have one, regardless of party. It's important to have that line of communication, because we have a tremendous amount of work that needs to be done. But I also know it's a priority for the council president. It's something that he mentioned in his inaugural address yesterday, is working with nonprofits, working with small businesses, working with communities to really put all our resources on the table. And that includes working in Annapolis as well, and working with our city delegation to really advocate. We're a few weeks away from the next session from 2017, and so making sure it's also a priority for them is going to be important.
Right.
John, we have about 30 seconds left, and I know you have a public policy background. What effect will the Trump administration have on cities like Baltimore?
Well, I think one of the big challenges when we look at administration like that, what will be the focus on urban America? And so there's been talk about infrastructure. So we're concerned about what that infrastructure looks like. So we're talking about housing, investments in transit. These are things that will be critical for Baltimore City to move forward. I'm not expecting a big windfall from the federal government, but we need to have that partnership and have those conversations. So if the talking point during the election was around saving urban cities and investing in them, then we should also see the dollars follow that.
Chris?
Agreed. We have a president that likes to frankly build things. So
Talks about infrastructure a lot.
He does.
Yeah.
So hopefully that actually translates into dollars. I mean, we have a lot of work to be done here in the city as it relates to infrastructure. When we talk about stormwater breaks and everything else, housing and just development projects that need to move forward, it's going to be important to receive assistance from the federal government. So I hope they frankly put their money where their mouth is.
All right, thank you all. We have 8 new members. We've had 5 of them this morning. It's been a great conversation. Good luck to all of you.